scroll, I click, I like, I share. कहता है जमाना मुझे ऑनलाइन क्वीन, क्या कहता है? कहता है जमाना मुझे ऑनलाइन क्वीन, रील में हंसी, चैट में सीन, आधा सच आधा फसाना, क्या? आधा सच आधा फसाना, फिल्टर में कैद सारा जमाना, फिल्टर में कैद सारा जमाना, क्यों उस्ताद?
अरे माय ऑनलाइन क्वीन, आज परफॉर्मेंस ऑफलाइन है, ऑनलाइन नहीं। स्टेज पे आई या स्क्रीन में सिमटी, हर पल फोन में चिपकी रहती, आज स्टेज पे आई है या स्क्रीन पे सिमटी। अरे आज परफॉर्मेंस ऑफलाइन है, ऑफलाइन, ऑनलाइन नहीं, समझी कि नहीं?
मैं तो समझ गई उस्ताद। उस्ताद मैं तो समझ गई, पर क्या आपको पता है आजकल स्टेज का नहीं ओटीटी का जमाना है, दुनिया मंच पर नहीं मोबाइल के स्क्रीन में समाना है। एंड यस, टॉकिंग अबाउट साइबर सेफ्टी, समटाइम्स यस समटाइम्स नो, एंड कभी कभी तो खतरा, पता है कभी कभी तो खतरा, क्या पता बस एक क्लिक में छुपा हो। साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक असर अनेक।
सुनो सुनो सुनो, आप सब लोग ध्यान से सुनो, कान खोल के सुनो, और प्लीज ये मोबाइल के स्क्रीन्स, मैडम मोबाइल के स्क्रीन्स बंद करके जरा दिल खोल कर सुनो।
अच्छा, तो आज बात हो किस चीज की रही है? What are we actually talking about?
आज बात है डिजिटल सच्चाई की, जहाँ उंगलियों से नहीं जिंदगी चलती भी है, बनती भी है और बिगड़ भी जाती है।
हाँ भाई हाँ, अब बता ही दो, साइबर की सच्चाई कब और कहाँ? साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक असर अनेक।
Technology is power. That's true. But power without awareness can harm you, can harm you. साइबर स्पेस का मतलब ये नहीं कि आपको डरना है, इसका मतलब है सोच समझकर हर चॉइस करना है सही।
मोबाइल एक छोटा सा यंत्र सही, मोबाइल एक छोटा सा यंत्र सही, लेकिन असर इसका बहुत भारी है। एक क्लिक में दोस्ती हो जाए, एक क्लिक में दोस्ती हो जाए, दूसरे में टूटने की तैयारी है।
फेक आईडी, फेक प्रोफाइल, फेक आईडी, फेक प्रोफाइल सच को कर देता है एक्साइल, सच में एक्साइल ही हो जाता है। किसी मैसेज में प्यार बरसे और कभी ट्रोलिंग में जहर घुले।
बच्चा हो या महिला, बच्चा हो या महिला, ऑनलाइन सब निशाने पे है खड़े, सब निशाने पर है खड़े। साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक असर अनेक। अरे 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 मेरी जमुनी, तू इतनी स्मार्ट बनती है, तुझे डर वर नहीं लगता क्या?
डर तो बहुत लगता है उस्ताद, जब कोई अनजान हाय करता है, जब कोई तस्वीर मांगता है, जब कोई धमकी आती है, और जब चुप्पी मजबूरी बन जाती है, जब चुप्पी मजबूरी बन जाती है। साइबर पीस मतलब डरना नहीं, समझदारी से आगे बढ़ना है सही।
पासवर्ड है एक निजी हथियार, ओटीपी बताना मतलब सीधा वार।
सोच समझकर पोस्ट करो, सोच समझकर पोस्ट करो, हर लाइक दोस्त नहीं होता, जो गलत लगे उसे सहना नहीं। ब्लॉक करो, रिपोर्ट करो, चुप रहना समाधान नहीं,
चुप रहना समाधान नहीं।
सोच समझ कर ट्वीट करो, सोच समझ कर शेयर करो। साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक असर अनेक।
बेटी की इज्जत ऑफलाइन जैसी ऑनलाइन भी उतनी जरूरी। सभी सावधानी से सुने, बेटी की इज्जत ऑनलाइन भी उतनी ही जरूरी। बच्चों से डर नहीं, संवाद रखें। मोबाइल मत छीने, गाइडेंस दे पूरी।
वेल, अब समझ आया ये संदेश। शांति सिर्फ सीमा पर नहीं, शांति सिर्फ सीमा पर नहीं, स्क्रीन के भीतर भी चाहिए साइबर पीस, स्क्रीन के भीतर भी चाहिए साइबर पीस। साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक असर अनेक। अरे बाबा अरे, आज तो अपन भी जान गया कि साइबर की लड़ाई डर से नहीं, ज्ञान और सावधानी से जीती जाती है।
ना डरेंगे ना सहेंगे, गलत को गलत ही कहेंगे।
बैंक से कॉल आया है, केवाईसी अभी कराओ।
अरे रे रे रे, ओटीपी जो मांगे समझ लो भाई, ओटीपी जो मांगे समझ लो भाई। बैंक कभी ऐसा नहीं कहता है। नॉट इन इंडिया, नॉट एनीवेयर, नॉट एनी हाउ।
कॉन्ग्रेचुलेशंस, प्राइज आपका है।
इलाज से पहले पैसा मांगे, इलाज से अगर पहले पैसा मांगे तो समझ लो फ्रॉड ने जाल बिछाया है, फ्रॉड ने ही जाल बिछाया है। साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक असर अनेक।
पे जॉब 30 लीटर सपना दिखाया है।
फी वाली नौकरी ने कभी किसी को रोजगार नहीं दिलाया।
चेहरा अपना नाम उधार, चेहरा अपना नाम उधार, स्क्रीन के पीछे छिपा शातिर किरदार।
ट्रस्ट से पहले वेरीफाई कीजिए, समझे आप लोग? ट्रस्ट से पहले वेरीफाई कीजिए। हर हेलो सच्चा नहीं होता, याद रखिए।
पैसा लेना है ओटीपी नहीं, देना हो तभी स्कैन सही, देना हो तभी स्कैन सही। साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक असर अनेक।
OTP is private. Don't click on any link direct. उंगली दबाई तो लुट गई कमाई। लिंक से दूर रहो, इसी में है भलाई।
From every screen, let truth increase.
So what we learn? Together we choose CyberPeace. Together we choose CyberPeace. Cyber एक असर अनेक, Cyber एक असर अनेक, Cyber एक असर अनेक। मेरी बेटी क्वीन, माय ऑनलाइन क्वीन, अब तो तू समझ गई वर्ल्ड इज नॉट सेफ बिहाइंड द स्क्रीन। समझी हाउ टू बी सेफ एंड सेफ्टी।
उस्ताद इतना कुछ सुन के अब तो अपन भी समझ गई कि थोड़ी सी भूल, थोड़ा सा अज्ञान, एक छोटी सी भूल, थोड़ा सा अज्ञान कर देगा जिंदगी को हैरान और परेशान। रहोगे सचेत, रहोगे सावधान, रहोगे सचेत, रहोगे सावधान, तो इंटरनेट जरूर बनेगा वरदान, वरदान, वरदान।
साइबर शांति है अधिकार, जागरूकता असली हथियार। साइबर शांति है अधिकार, जागरूकता असली हथियार।
साइबर एक असर अनेक,
साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक असर अनेक, साइबर एक। Now I would please request all the dignitaries from G2 to come on the stage.
सीने पे लिखा है कोई आगे बढ़ सके जुनून है मेरे इश्क का जुनून है रग रग में इश्क के लौटता है तूने नहीं सिखाया सच्चाइयों का मतलब तेरे पास आके जाना मैंने जिंदगी का मकसद सत्य में बजते सच्चा है प्यार मेरा सत्य में बजते तेरे नूर के दस्तूर में न हो सलवटे न शिकन रहे मेरी कोशिश तो है बस यही रहे खुशबुए गुलशन रहे तेरी सुल्फा नहीं चला तेरे और बासा नहीं चला जहाँ कोई सुर न हो बेसुरा हो गीत है गाने
Wow, that Nukkar Natak was really impactful. A big round of applause for all our performers. A big shout out to them for displaying such a performance on cybersecurity. And creatively learning about something is very fun and very entertaining, and all the things remain intact in our minds as well. Now, we'll go for the tea break after a while. Before that, we are conducting this yet another very important session. And we request your patience here, we want your attention here, because this is going to be one very crucial session, a panel session, of course, on the theme AI Safety and Trust, Building Responsible AI for a Secure Digital Future. And this session is by Knowledge Networks. We have speakers from Knowledge Network who will be talking about the issue, will be apprising us about AI safety and trust and how we all can participate in building a future that is cyber resilient and safe and secure for everyone. So for this session, I would like to invite here on dais our esteemed speakers. I request Mr. Sanjay Puri, Chairman and Founder, Knowledge Networks, to kindly join us on stage for the session on the theme AI Safety and Trust, Building Responsible AI for Secure Digital Future. Mr. Sanjay Puri, sir, we request you to kindly come and join us on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for our moderator. Let's give a big hand, ladies and gentlemen. Please keep the energy going. I also request Dr. Bhaskar Chatterjee, former Director General and CEO, Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, Ministry of Corporate Affairs, to kindly join us on the stage for this session. Thank you so much. So please, we request you to kindly take your seats on the dais as we're about to begin this session. We request everyone present here to kindly settle down and please keep your mobile phones on silent mode. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for our esteemed speakers, Mr. Sanjay Puri, Chairman and Founder, Knowledge Networks, also acting as a moderator, and Dr. Bhaskar Chatterjee, former Director General and CEO, Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs, Ministry of Corporate Affairs. We are looking forward towards some brilliant insights on the panel discussion on AI safety and trust, building responsible AI for a secure digital future. Over to you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for those wonderful remarks. I think we'll have a great panel today. We have Dr. Chatterjee with us, and we have someone remotely that is dialed in with us. But this is also a very important topic. You've had some fantastic sessions today, and I'm hoping you'll have some others after us. But to set the stage, what I'll do is I'll ask our incredible panelists to introduce themselves, and also I'll set a framing question for them. And so with that, my framing question for you, Dr. Chatterjee, is given that what's happening in the world of AI, Has cybersecurity changed in the past 2 or 3 years because of artificial intelligence? And how would you define that? So, if I may turn that over to you, given the context of this conference, and then we'll get our other speakers also on board. Please introduce yourself also, I won't do you justice.
Thank you, Sanjay. And thank you for this wonderful audience, and also to CyberPeace for giving us this opportunity. I think, as way of introduction, I was former secretary to the Government of India in the Department of Public Sector Enterprises, then the Director General of the Indian Institute of Corporate Affairs in the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, have been on several corporate boards, currently Chief Advisor to Deloitte, to KPMG, to Center for Responsible Business, and a host of others. So, also made my name in a particular area of government policy, which is corporate social responsibility. So, with that brief background, let me try and address what you were saying very briefly before the other person on the panel takes over. Your question was, has this digital security and AI changed the universe around us over the last 3 or 4 years? You know, the funny part is that it's changing so fast that even if you ask this question and I answer, the scenario is already changing. The ground beneath our feet is also already shifting. What we say here today at this August conference may well be dated by the time we are here again next year. To underline or outline this a little bit more, let's also try to understand that from the government perspective, how difficult it is to address this question. If you look at cyber legislation, what do we have? The Act of 2000, amended in 2008, rules being changed from time to time. BPTP Act just now, 2023, rules have just come in December of 25. But that addresses only personal safety considerations. The larger architecture, and I think Vice Chancellor Madam from Udaipur spoke very well about that, the Unified Digital Code. I know that in MITI they're already working on this. It's very hard to make policy in areas which are changing so fast. The concern of the legislator or the policy maker is, by the time we get the policy out, is it already dated or not? So with these few introductory remarks, I will wait for our next panelist to take the lead.
I have a lot of follow-on questions to that, but as I said, and I'm hoping Srinivas is on there. Srinivas, can you hear us? If Srinivas is not there, then it's going to be you and me having a nice long chat. We were expecting 3 other panelists, but because of time adjustments, I have no idea if our other panelists are here. Let's see if our other panelists are there or not. But while they figure it out, let me just delve a little bit based on what you just said, Dr. Chatterjee, because I talk to policy leaders around the world all the time. And this is one of their biggest issues, is that there is no way. This is the fastest any transformative technology has happened. The speed is what scares everybody. That, the EU AI Act, as you know, has been formulated. And I talked to a lot of the MEPs who formulated that. And I said, what are you doing? Because when you formulated it, agentic AI was not in place, multimodal was not in place. Shadow AI was not in place. So one of the things they said is, let's regulate the outcomes, not the act. What is your perspective? How do policy leaders, whether it's in India or around the world, deal with something like this? In the US, we don't have policies there, because the whole idea is innovation. We are a country of innovation. EU is a country of regulation. How do policy leaders keep up? What would be your message to policy leaders?
the contrast between the American continent and EU and South Asia is quite substantial. Policy regulation in the US is very limited because it is mostly corporate driven and it is mostly about innovation. You have a good solution, you expect others to take it. The US information system or the US government is not setting out guidelines, regulations, and acts to take over the whole space. If you come down to Brussels, what do you see here? All governments in Brussels, vast bureaucracy, everybody wants rules, regulations, full stops, commas, penalties, violations. All of that is a mass of regulation. So between the US and Brussels, there is an enormous bridge. I think in South Asia, particularly in India, we have this tremendous capacity to synergize the two. A mix of innovation, feeding into policy, and then policy coming in from government. And here the connection between, like in India particularly, the connection between government and corporate India has been very substantial. Particularly, I think, from 2014, post the 2014 era, you see that this consultation, this process, this openness, this dialogue, and the ability to engage with each other, to look for solutions, is something that is very, very evocative of the new policy framework that we see today. Because of the openness of government and policy makers to understand the real situation in the real world and try to bring in directives. That, I think, is a new chapter in our regulative and policy history. Because that is so, we are able to come out with something which is instructional, which is innovative, and which engages the outer world to come and follow those regulations in their own interest. It's not as though, as I use the Indian term "popo." It's not something that we are trying to just put down and get everyone else to follow. But it is an outcome of the dialogue that we have with them. That's the.
So, the best of both worlds, but a model for maybe the entire global south could be the platform, is what you're saying. Again, I don't know if Srinivas, you joined us? Hello? Oh,
Good afternoon.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear us. Okay,
Yes, we can hear you. Good
Srinivas.
afternoon.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, Srinivas, good to have you. I know it's very early back there. Thanks so much for making the time. What I said to our other esteemed guest was that I would let you introduce yourself and answer a simple framing question for our audience here. And the question for you is, has AI changed the way cybersecurity operates in the past 2 or 3 years? And do your introduction and see if you can answer that question for our amazing audience here, Srinivas.
Thank you. Thank you for the nice introduction. My name is Srinivas. I'm founder CEO of AI. Prior to that, I was the GM at IBM, Cloud Infrastructure and Security Services. Answering your question specifically, has AI changed in the last 2 to 3 years? My answer would be yes, dramatically. Right? I mean, we have seen AI evolve from its infancy stages, the past several years. But I think it's more about speed and scale now. Speed and scale has gone up by leaps and bounds. The attack surface has exploded because of AI now being the center stage of everything. The attackers are now using AI to reverse engineer and generate exploits, so that has gone up by leaps and bounds. And the security operations are also drowning in complexity. So in a nutshell, I would say yes, the attack surface exploded. The attack operations are becoming largely more automated. and the security operations themselves are being drowned in complexity. So I think all these three axes demonstrate that AI has quadrupled on its speed and scale dimensional aspect of it.
Thank you, Srinivas. And it reflects on our audience. It's 5 a.m. where Srinivas is in Silicon Valley. So it's been kind enough to talk to us. Dr. Chatterjee, I'll come back again to you. You know, the word responsible AI gets thrown around a lot. And as I said, I run a podcast. I have hundreds of guests that come in. And I can tell you, each one of them has their own definition of what responsible AI is. As an industry leader, tell our audience, what is your definition of what should be the definition of responsible AI?
So, Sanjay, when I reflect on this whole scenario, what do you actually see? What's the new challenge that AI poses to us? If there is an adversarial relationship, enemy versus enemy, Srinivas just talked about attacks. Typically, enemy versus enemy is I attack or he attacks, we defend. In the AI space, the attacker is the AI. My defense is also the AI. There's no human defense shield. My army I cannot deploy against AI. So, difficulty of AI, what is the innovation, the new challenge which throws up before us? The attacker and the defender are armed with the same tools. It's nuclear versus nuclear. What do you do then? I keep refining my techniques. Where? On AI. The attacker is also refining and defining his techniques also on AI. What do we do now? So in an adversarial relationship, both suffer. Responsible AI tries to neutralize this concept and say attacker versus attacker leads to mutual destruction. Therefore, responsible AI. Understanding that in AI lies the seed of our own destruction, like in the case of nuclear. And therefore, responsible AI talks about what any one of us can do in terms of ethics, in terms of trust, in terms of value, in terms of transparency. And in the end, responsible stands for responsibility. Who takes it? If there's a failure, where does the buck stop? I'll hand it over to Srinivas for his thoughts.
Dr. Chatterjee made a very important point, and I had this discussion with the Deputy NSA of the US, and they said the good news is that we have AI to protect us. The bad news is our attackers have AI to attack us. So in your view, what Dr. Chatterjee was saying, he said basically, according to him, it's a standoff. Who do you think has an advantage in this kind of a scenario? You work with industry a lot. You're on mute, I think, Srinivas.
No, actually, I think somebody else muted me. Can you hear me now? Yeah. So what I was trying to say is that we are at a unique inflection point in the industry where both the bad guys and the good guys have the same arsenal of tools. And more often than not, if you look at the latest report that came from Anthropic, where the hackers didn't use any sophisticated tools. They just used simple tools, but automated at scale. That's the key, automated at scale. Lots of simple tools, but tried in permutations and combinations in so many different combinations that the human defense systems failed. It was always the weakest link that got exploited. And then once you permeated into the weakest link, then it became relatively easier to laterally spread across the entire organization. So I think it boils down to, defenders have to defend against all the possible scenarios. The bad guys, they just need one thing, just one, and that's it, right? So it just opens up a whole new war game where the defense systems have to work harder. They not only have to work harder, but smarter as well. Figuring out, don't go chasing all the incidents, all the vulnerabilities, all the stuff. Pick the ones that are demonstrably exploitable. There's enough evidence that you are under the hood, or you will be under the hood pretty soon. So focus your energies and your efforts on the ones that matter the most. Leverage AI to come to that reasoning in a very short order, so that when the fire comes from the hose, you're well prepared to protect against it. Because the surface area is just too big. So you have to narrow it down quickly, leveraging AI and sophisticated reasoning to figure out which is the smallest surface area that I can double dip on quickly, and then protect it, prevent it, and take the right remediation procedures to safeguard it. So that would be my feedback.
Thanks, Srinivas. It says cover the surface area. Dr. Chatterjee, the surface area has become much, much wider with agentic AI. So let's talk about the topic du jour. Every corporate chief AI officer that I speak to, even a government chief AI officer in the US or around the world, they are deploying AI agents, whatever your term may be for that. Does it open up more challenges in terms of cyber, or does it help? Because there are AI agents out there that can be used as a defensive force too. So enlighten us a little bit about that.
No, AI agents are, of course, what shall I say, one of the solutions. When we sit on corporate boards and we look at risk management, we try and assess what exactly are the risks posed to our business. And one of the really important risks is the propensity for cyber attacks. Our systems suddenly collapse. Can we anticipate that attack? Because the only way I can defend it is to anticipate it, and that's the work of the agent. The defense shield is, can we get response time? Even if it is in seconds or milliseconds, that's all I need. But what is my defense? It has to be some sort of an alertness mechanism that I can then put into example. If you look at the Houthi rebels' attack on Saudi Arabia, I think it was 18 months ago, the thousands of drones that they unleashed on the Saudi Arabia night sky detected all of the US's anti-radar mechanisms. Why? Because this was unanticipated. There was no pre-warning. There was no defense. It was surrender immediately. And the danger of AI is precisely this. The invention of new techniques suddenly. What's the difference between the attacker and the defender? The attacker, as Srinivas just now said, one weak spot, I know what I hit, I am proactive. What's the problem with the defender? He is reactive. So the offender will always have the advantage, without doubt. What can the defender look forward to? Some sort of an early warning system. If the EWS is not in place, we will lose. And for me, I think in AI, that is the biggest problem today.
So Srinivas, Dr. Chatterjee is, I wouldn't say painting maybe a realistic or a little bit of a gloomy picture for us. But coming to that point, I was speaking to the chief AI officer of Zscaler, which is one of the big, you would know them, one of the leading cyber firms around the world. And I asked him what keeps him up at night, and he said rogue AI agents, and not external, but internal rogue AI agents. When you look at agentic AI, what is your perspective? What do you think of rogue AI agents?
No, I mean, rogue AI agents is a big problem. Insider threat is a larger problem than external threats, and that has been proven for many years now. I think the key challenge is how do you distinguish between the benign and not so benign, right? Because even a genuinely looking wonderful process could be exploited and suddenly it becomes rogue. It is not rogue by birth. It has been hijacked, or it has been compromised, or it has been exploited. So there are different ways of how one can become rogue, and I think that's the challenge for the defense systems, because you have to operate at every layers: network layer, endpoint layer, cloud layer, app layer, kernel layer, right? And to figure out that there's any anomaly in the behavioral footprint that tracks it to become a rogue. And then once it becomes rogue, then you have to apply the right level of remediation procedures, because you can't completely automate it either, because some of them are reversible, some of them are irreversible. So irreversible, if you want to do it in an autonomous way, then it becomes a damage, right? So you have to be very careful in terms of the thresholds and risk levels that applies to the right level of remediation. So all in all, I think with the proliferation of agents now, it exposes a whole new dimension in your surface area, and the right level of both detection technologies as well as the what we call as root cause analysis, and then translating that into the right level of remediation components. All of this with this new surface area is still an open art.
Thanks, Srinivas. Dr. Chatterjee, let's move to the area of skills, maybe a little more positive discussion, since we've talked a lot about some of these other topics. The first question on skills would be has the role of CISO changed with the advent of AI? That would be number one. And what should organizations be doing in terms of skills management just across the board within an organization, keeping what we just talked about in the past few minutes about AI agents, surface level exposure, etc., for our audience who are looking at this?
You know, Sanjay, the more technical we get, the more we move away from our audience. Primarily, the interest of the audience is what is in it for me? What skills do I need to defend myself? If you're talking about cyber security, as the Nukkar Natar, very beautiful Nukkar Natar that came out, the idea was, what do I need to protect myself? What is in my immediate environment that is threatening to me? I see something and instantly I used to think, that's real. Now what do I know? It's pretty much unreal. The element of trust has disappeared from the public space. And our CEO, Mr. Pradhan, speaks about trust a lot. Because AI's principal contribution to humanity is loss of trust. Seeing is not believing. Seeing is disbelieving. Anything you see, anything you hear, anything you sense, any of your 5 sensory organs are giving you some trigger in the brain, and you know it might be fake. So in the immediate world around you, what do you do? That is the skill I want to develop. And for me, my personal campaign through corporate social responsibility, and this I speak at many, many fora, is that can we use CSR funding, as we do in the case of CyberPeace, to educate, disseminate, develop awareness among the vulnerable sections. I don't know if you've seen that incredible OTT serial Adolescence, which is about cyberbullying. 4 episodes, absolutely breathtaking stuff, edge of the seat stuff. And you see a young teenager boy, the kind of cyber humiliation and bullying that boy underwent, leading to his arrest, because ultimately it went to murder. And because of the vulnerability of our youth, our teenagers, AI is giving us a whole new world, Gen Z, of course, I'm calling to Gen Alpha, which is so seriously threatening. It's that part that CyberPeace is working so hard on, and it is something all strength to you, sir, and to all of you people who are in this. That's the message that I would like to leave at the end of our discussion today.
I was trying to get a positive kind of thing, but anyway, we'll keep going. Srinivas, just asking the same questions. You deal with CISOs, Chief Information Security Officers. Do you think their role corporate CISOs, government CISOs, their role has changed in the past 2-3 years because of the advent of AI?
Yes, definitely. I think, the traditional role of CISO was more inside out, right? How do I protect my enterprise? What are the risks that are permeable that I should be concerned about, and so on. I think they need to, but they are evolving more to become more business information security officers. So the new role in CISO is now becoming BISO, which is simply business information security officers, kind of like bringing the outside in, intelligence, not just from a technical level, but more from a process level, business level, enablement level, ecosystem level, all combinations. So they become more, I would say, full stack and well-rounded from a board level visibility perspective. So in that way, yes, the role has changed to encompass a broader function set.
Thanks, Srinivas. Dr. Chatterjee, there's always this perspective when I talk to people that we need the human in the loop. From your perspective, when we talk about national security, defense, and all those things, obviously human in the loop is critical. Where do you believe that human in the loop comes into play? Is it in all mission critical applications or just across the board?
No, mission critical applications, of course. But it's about who is in control. Is the human in control or is the AI in control? All of what we are talking about is in whom does the control lie? If this is not here, it is important for me to be able to control this so that I communicate there. If somebody else is in control of this, my words will be somebody else's words. So for me, and this is critical to everything we do in AI, it must be human-centric. If there are no human values, if the human being is not in control over something that he himself has created, this is the outcome of our own brain, of our own systems management. If we lose control, we lose the battle.
Srinivas, you, I presume, have been reading about the Molten Book episode of what's the AI agents have formed communities. Well, in one case, they formed a religion also across the board, and there's literally multiplying across the board. What implications do you see across the board as well as for cybersecurity for organizations when agents are they've got a language of their own, they've started a religion. What does that mean? Are we in singularity here?
No, so before that, I wanted to just touch upon what Dr. Chatterjee just said earlier. I think, back to the earlier point about where AI is good at is scale, speed, and massive level data correlation. They are very good at that. But where they lack is sufficient sophisticated reasoning, judgment, accountability, and some level of risk acceptance. So I would kind of like segment it based on where you can leverage the strengths of AI and where human layers on top can become the force multiplier effect. So not that they are decoupled, but they can work together to complement each other in a coherent way. And then answering the question about the agent swarm, right? I mean, it's still in the science fiction phase. I mean, there are enough guardrails that are applied across the different layers of agentic execution. And I think that's why we're seeing that most of the deployments are still in POC phase. They're not in production, full-scale production yet. Rightfully because of the several factors that you had mentioned, right? Because there is the element of hallucination, there is the element of data privacy, there is the element of force multiplier effect that you mentioned. There is still a lot of uncertainties that need to be managed and then tracked. The observability component at that scale hasn't matured yet. So that would be my answer.
Yeah. Srinivas, just as a follow-on, about a year ago, I don't know if you remember the CrowdStrike situation when the airline, Delta Airlines, basically got stopped, and there was a ripple effect across, and there was a loss of literally hundreds and hundreds of millions. One of the lessons was the single vendor situation in there. So for government agencies, for companies, etc., from a cyber standpoint, what is, you deal with CISOs, you deal with companies, you deal with government agencies. What is the message when you're dealing, I mean, whether you're dealing with Palo Alto Networks, CrowdStrike, Zscaler, whichever, what should the organizations, companies, etc. be looking to do? You're on mute, Srinivas. Now we can hear you.
No, I can hear. It's basically resiliency. That's my answer, short answer. I think the architectures need to be resilient by design, especially when there is a rogue agent or when certain part of your network goes down, as in the case of Southwest. Building that resiliency in the architecture so that it's not 3 nines, it's not 5 nines, it's 7 nines. So I build DNS infrastructure which operates at 7 nines. The core internet runs at 7 nines. We need the AI native architectures to operate at that layer of resiliency built in as part of the technical stacks. We are not there yet. I think that is industry at large has to mature so that at any point, if there is a black swan event or if there is a certain element that you're not prepared for, how does it course correct itself with AI using the guidance metric to figure out that something bad has happened first and then course correcting itself in real time? These are all hard problems to solve that I think as an industry we would need to mature.
Thanks, Srinivas. This is really a question for both of you. I don't know who wants to take it. Claude Opus was released recently, and what Anthropic said was that Claude Opus wrote Claude Opus. So just think about it, the software wrote itself. What does it imply for cybersecurity? Does it make systems with vibe coding, which is where, IDEs, Windsurf and other tools are actually doing the coding? Is it making systems better, or is it making it more open for hacks, or does it not really matter?
That's a good question. I was actually talking to the Anthropic CISO just 2 days back, and 95% of Claude code is generated by Claude. 95%. So that's an open statement that he has made. And I think what we'll see is we will see a dip. In the next 2 years, we will see a dip where there will be a lot of hiccups and the maturity curve of the technology stack, AI native generated technology stack to be mature, and then it will start to stabilize. So I think we will see a dip in the next 2 years where there will be many scenarios and incidents that you're not prepared for. But then the maturity curve will start to kick in post 2 years onwards.
Thanks on that. Dr. Chatterjee, you work with a lot of organizations. When I talk to companies, etc., that they say, we have set up an AI ethics board, or we have set up an AI governance board, etc. Do you think it helps, or whether it's government institutions, corporates, etc., it helps to have these kinds of setup out there, an audit trail, etc., to build an ethical or a responsible framework for companies or institutions?
Absolutely. If there is no ethical oversight, how do you trace back and fix responsibility? If something unethical has occurred, we need to get to the bottom of it, right? Somebody in the system has either mismanaged it, or unethically hacked it, or interfered with it. Somewhere something has gone wrong. And we will never know what it is unless the entire digital footprint is scanned. So the ethics, we use that committee as an oversight committee, an ethics oversight. So we try and see what's trending, what have been the recent incidents, what are the chances of repetition, how quickly did we respond or did not respond, what is the learning from each black swan incident that